So, before we start our show today, let's just take a moment. And this is something that I used to do with my kids when I was a teacher. And one of the things that we talked about was taking deep breaths. And for some kids, having something concrete to think about helps them. So, we're going to take a collective deep breath like we're smelling a bouquet of flowers. And then we're going to pretend like we're blowing out a candle and exhale all of that stress. Because this is the kind of stuff that we need, right? Is these like de-stressors and ways that we can get back into a place of being calm and feeling like, yes, there are certain things that we can do. There are things we have no control about, and we cannot keep worrying about that. What we're going to talk about today are some of the legal questions that I've heard from a lot of families. And we're also going to spend a good amount of our time together today talking about what we do have control over. And that is what we do with our kids every day when they're home with us. So thank you so much for being here live or watching the replay. I am Charmaine Tanner. I'm a parent of an adult son with Down syndrome, a retired teacher, and now I do advocacy for families full time. And when I was planning this show, I thought we need someone who not only has that legal aspect and knows all about that as far as special education rights and what FAPE is, but we also would love to have someone that has that educational knowledge. And so the perfect person was Amy Langerman. She is an attorney in Arizona and also a consultant in California. So Amy, welcome to our show today. And if you want to say a few words about yourself, I know that you're also a parent of an adult who followed in your footsteps, right? And
Yes,
became a lawyer.
I have three children. My eldest has autism and got a doom and gloom diagnosis and prognosis when he was 2. He's now 27, so quite old. And he's a deputy district attorney in Oregon, and he's actually currently furloughed at home, working at home because they're trying to comply with the designs of their governor to reduce the workload that's out in the streets. And we're all learning how to do that now, and to work at home and to educate our kids at home. I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for more than 35 years. I'm licensed only in the state of Arizona. In 2002, I moved to California to get better schools, and I work as a consultant in special education, and particularly in inclusive practices, and do a lot of training for students, parents, teachers, school districts, lawyers, advocates, various others, on how to educate kids, and particularly kids with intellectual disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, learning disabilities, and some more unique disabilities. And I still go back to Arizona to handle due process litigation as needed. And I am recently joined Susan Marks and Advocates down there. We've done a number of cases together, and it was time for us to make a formal of counsel relationship. So it's good to be here. I've been with you before, and I'd like to say I have the answers, and I have the questions. I know the questions to ask. I know some information that is out there, and I know some things that may help. But the long and short of it is, at the current time, we really don't have a lot of information because we're waiting to see what the states do. We're waiting to see what the cities do. We're waiting to see what Congress does. But I know that the fundamental question that I've been getting from everybody, and that I know you've been getting, and that's been posted in every website, is what are the obligations of school districts to provide for special education services today and as the days move forward. for kids who have IEPs or 504s while schools are closed. And I wish I could tell you that there's an answer to that other than it depends. And we'll talk about the it depends today, but until we see whether Congress is going to allow waivers, Senator Alexander has apparently announced that he wants to put in a provision to authorize Betsy DeVos to grant waivers that come in from the states for up to 1 year, to literally waive any statutory rights, both procedural and substantive. I would like to think that that would not happen, because that would put our kids at a lesser access than non-disabled kids. And what the IDEA and the various federal regulations was designed to do from the get-go was to create equal access. And we're going to talk about what that means in a school closure and when schools resume, if they resume. But this would allow them to literally say that schools and school communities, LEAs, meaning states, could request a waiver of all procedural rights. And that would be a very tragic thing. So I know that COPA, an organization of which I'm a member, has posted a form letter. I know it's on your website. I know it's on a lot of different websites of things that parents and professionals can write to their senator that says this is not the time to dispense with 100% for children with disabilities. I think we all are going to be in a position of having to accept some suffering right now. We're going to talk about that we have to be equitable in our suffering. But equitability means that we should have the same equitable rights as non-disabled children. And nobody's suggesting today that we should tell states that they can eliminate all school for children for the next year, or even suggesting that that would be necessary. And if it was, there would be online or Zoom schools being set up for those kids. And so our kids would be entitled to equitability at that time. So write your senator on that.
Right. And I want to welcome Susan is here. And I know
Hey, Susan.
I had just seen the announcement that you joined of council. So that's exciting for all of you in Arizona. Andrea is here with us, and Lissa is here from Idaho. Jen is here from Washington State, where really lots of things have been happening there, right? But I do have some questions that I have gotten from a lot of parents. And so we're going to go into some of these questions, and then we're going to spend the bulk of the time talking about how we can help parents set up a schedule, set up a new routine at school, resources that are available, because those are the things that we have control over, what we do with our kids every day. But I realize that there's such apprehensive thoughts and, kind of worries about some of the legal aspects, and all of that is in flux, right? I mean, like every hour almost, we're getting new reports or new news. So we'll go into some of these questions and know that they could change at a moment's notice,
right,
as far as what we're going to be interpreting. So the first question, and let me bring it up here, is what are the obligations of local school districts to provide special education services that are set out in the child's IEP during these school closures?
And again, I wish that I could just say, here they are, but the truth of the matter is it depends. And so when we say it depends on what is going on and which state you're in and what your local people have done. So let me talk about what some of the things that are happening right now and what I think that means. So some school districts currently are closed for what is going to end up being less than 10 days. My daughter's school district was scheduled to have spring break for the last 2 weeks of March. So they've currently indicated that they will be closed at the end of March. So they've only lost 5 days of school, assuming they're able to reopen. And so if we are dealing with what would be called a temporary closure, and when we think of the word temporary in IDEA lingo, we're usually talking about 10 days or less. And that's got a cutoff period that has some basis in the law, because after 10 days, if services are not provided, the question is that considered a change of placement? Because if it is change of placement, then you have procedural rights and you have certain, and the school district has certain obligations. So for our first hypothetical situation, we're assuming a closure of 10 days or less, and it's a closure for everybody. Nobody's getting anything. If that's the situation of your school district, and if schools are able to reopen within that time period, the Department of Education for the federal government has indicated that school districts have no obligation to treat special education students any differently than they treat general education students. And if they're getting nothing, we're getting nothing. And that may not be an answer that people like. I know people have said, wait a minute, this is federal law, states can't preempt federal law. And I'm sure that there's going to be some lawyer who will try to make that argument. And I can, as a lawyer, set out what that argument might look like. Okay, federal law trumps state law, what's more important when we're, who's more important. I can make that legal argument. And nobody knows what anybody's going to ultimately rule if that argument is raised in a court. But I think that many lawyers who look at that say that no judge is really going to be very sympathetic with a case where a special education student is seeking more than general education students are getting. We do have some cases that are reflective of this. Obviously, I'm not aware of any case involving coronavirus and what school districts should do, but schools have had to close in hurricanes, Hurricane Sandy, various other national disasters. And there have been some cases that have said they can do this, and as long as everybody is treated the same way in the sense of equitability. That's what the federal law was designed for, is to have equitability of access. If nobody gets access, you get no access either. The question then becomes, what about if it's more than 10 days? Schools have already announced in Washington and in Kansas, for example, I believe also in Oregon, that the extent of the closure, the first wave of closure, will be more than 10 days, including whatever time would be discounted for spring break, because spring break was always going to be off. And at that circumstance, again, we have the question, does that change anything if no one is getting school, if no one is getting access at that point in time? And again, the Department of Education has issued guidance that if nobody gets school, the special ed kids will not get school either. And again, the issue is now it's more than 10 days. And so it's more than 10 days with a special education student not getting his or her services. Is that a change of placement? That has been litigated in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, in which California and Arizona, Idaho, and the West Coast states are, as to whether or not a district-wide, statewide, system-wide administrative change constitutes a change of placement. The case came out of Hawaii. It was during the period of time when a lot of schools were having significant economic issues, and they were making hard choices. And the state of Hawaii decided that they would have furlough days. So they had 17 Fridays where there was no school for anyone. And so it's more than 10 days. And the special education professionals, lawyers there, filed a claim against the Department of Education in Hawaii and said this is a change of placement, and all of these kids are entitled to their IDEA rights for a meeting, prior written notice, compensatory services, and so forth. And the Ninth Circuit said this is not a change of placement when everybody is treated the exact same way as they were before and after. Your placement is the same. You still have whatever it was on your IEP. You're just short 17 days because everybody's short 17 days. That may result in some need for a compliance complaint because they can't implement the services on those days. And so that's a separate issue as to whether or not they're in compliance with your IEP. If the IEP, for example, said that you get 300 minutes a month of speech services and they didn't give it to you because all the Fridays were gone and they were cut off, they still owe you the 300 minutes if the IEP says so. And in Hawaii, they were trying to figure out ways to make those services up that were being lost. But whether or not they legally had to, it wasn't a change of placement, it might be a compliance issue. So
Right.
if we end up with 3 months, 2 months, 1 month off school, it's not a change of placement. It's not dealt with as a change of placement if this case continues to apply. And I think what we're seeing now factually is a much more compelling issue than just, oh, gee, the schools doesn't have enough money. And they were balancing, you know, kids having more bigger classes. We're going to have to fire teachers. And so that's going to impact everybody versus furlough days that apply to everybody equally. And that was the decision they made. Here, we're dealing with a national crisis, an international crisis, a health and welfare crisis. Very sympathetic fact pattern, obviously. But if it's something that's applied to everybody, the current DOE guidance that I think professionals like us who look at it think is probably likely what the courts would do eventually, says as long as everybody's treated the same, everybody's treated the same. I think
Right.
the bigger question becomes what happens if school starts for general ed students, even if it's starting virtually, which is what I
Right.
think many school districts are looking at. Then how do we equitably treat our kids?
Right. And I wanted to let people know I had posted this in the comments. If you want to click on that link, then on Tuesday, I'll be emailing out specific resources that Amy is mentioning here, like the case from Hawaii, if people want to, and other resources. So it's in the comments, and you can just click on that link whenever. But I know, let me see, I'm going to check here and see. If we have any comments here. So here's one from Keisha. She says, if general ed students receive virtual instruction online during this time, shouldn't special ed students receive the same modified instructions?
Well, wouldn't it, you know, great minds think alike. That's the next subject that's on my list. I actually made an outline of things that parents have been asking me and other lawyers have been asking me, and that's the next question because I think that's where we're going to see schools headed. I can tell you my daughter's a third grade teacher, and they were told while they're off to become acquainted with Zoom. And that's how they're going to try to resume school for everyone. And I think what the thought is, and this also is, if they are currently providing mandatory packets, if they give educational packets right now and they sent them home as quote homework, that's considered educational services. I know most schools here are not doing that. They're being very, very specific in saying these are optional or this is enrichment, isn't required, that won't be graded in order to make sure that nobody is saying they're providing services. But I think what will happen at some point in time is schools will recognize that this could be a longer haul than there was originally thought, and they're going to start virtual instruction or going to start providing packets that are designed to substitute, that will count as their days. The teachers want to get paid. The funding exists. They're paid to provide a service, and the service is for children. And so they're going to have to find a way to provide that service. At that point in time, the DOE guidance, and I think most people who are looking at it professionally are interpreting it the same way, requires our kids to be treated equitably. And so equitably, we're entitled to an education in perhaps an alternative way because other children are getting their education in an alternative way. At this point in time, however, If the services are not provided in the same environment as what the IEP requires, it would potentially raise a change of placement issue. If you look at your current IEP, for example, it may provide that your services are to be provided in a special education classroom. It turns out I'm not aware of anyone's home that would qualify as a special education classroom. It may say that your services are to be provided one-to-one. It may say that your services are provided in a general education setting, but by a special education teacher pushing in a collaborative way. Depending on what your IEP says, if that is not currently capable of being provided, and the setting has changed because now you're at home, I believe that that could raise change of placement issues. And I think many people suggest that what should happen is that there should be an IEP meeting to discuss how children with needs can, quote, equitably participate, end quote, and those are the words, equitable participation. Does it mean that a teacher's coming to your house? Probably not. Does it mean that you're going to go to school and you're going to get one-to-one services or small group services? Probably not. At least if the state has a mandate or a suggestion that nobody should be out of their homes. If that continues to be the suggestion that only critical services or essential services should be outside and that we should socially distance and the like, we need to be as flexible as general education students are being required, because I suspect that that's what any administrative law judge would ultimately hold, is that we should do, is that if everybody has to suffer some, we should have to suffer too.
Right.
That being said, modified curriculum, adapted curriculum, differentiated curriculum, if the general education students are being provided with curriculum that they can access, we should be entitled to curriculum that we can access. And that might mean different curriculum because we're accessing curriculum at a different level. And I would assume that what we will see is special education teachers having Zoom or Google Hangouts sessions as well. Perhaps they'll be one-to-one, perhaps they'll be small group, where they're providing access to adapted curriculums, curricula and instruction at individualized levels and so forth. Is it perfect? No. Will many of our kids not be able to access that? Yes. Does that mean that your children will be entitled to something better or different? Maybe, maybe not. Again, it's an IEP team decision, and it is a decision that is a hard decision right now because we're rationing services, we're rationing care, we're rationing air that we breathe and the space that we exist in a world that is different today than any of us ever would have expected a month ago. And so that kind of mindset would be in the mindset of any judge looking at this down the line. If the answer is, my child can't access this, so I'm going to go hire a lawyer and I'm going to file a due process because I wasn't getting anything because my child had behavior and couldn't access this. Would a judge say that they should have given you one-to-one? You know, I don't know, but I think that that's not likely going to be a result that we're going to see, because everybody's in a very, very, very uncomfortable position and so forth. To my parents who are in states where consent is required to change an IEP, and into my parents in Arizona where consent is not required, these are the questions that we're going to be facing, because if indeed there's an IEP meeting, and they're going to be holding IEP meetings virtually, they already are. If consent is required, if you do not consent, you will not get whatever it is they're offering, and they will not give you what's on your IEP because they can't. You will get nothing. If consent is not required, they will do it anyway, and you can take it or leave it. And the question is, what do you as a parent do?
Right.
And what I'm suggesting to my parents in both states, because I work in both, is for those that require consent, is to say on the record and to write it very clearly on a piece of paper, I consent to implement these services, but do not agree that they provide a FAPE.
Huh.
You want to be, as we say in my faith, a mensch. You don't want to be the whiner and the bitch, pardon my French. Everybody's has to suck up some of this, but at the same time, I think that you say, I don't agree that it's a FAPE. I think they would likely agree it's not a FAPE, but it's the best that they can come up with in a situation that's an awful situation for everybody. For my parents who are in Arizona, where they will do it anyway because consent isn't required, and the only way you can stop it is to file due process. Is anybody going to take that due process case? I won't. I don't know whether anyone else, and if they're charging you to take that case, you should think long and hard. You should be asking for a contingency fee if they're going to do that. I don't think you're going to get a hearing anytime soon anyway.
Right.
All the administrative judges are only doing emergency matters, expedited matters. The standard due process are all being continued, so you could be a year from now anyway. Again, I think you say on the record and say, please document this on your prior written notice, that we do not believe that this provides a FAPE. We understand that you're in a world of hurt. We understand why you're doing this, but this isn't going to make a FAPE for our children. What can you do to try to get something different? If you already know that your child will not be able to access a virtual program, it's a child who can't sit for 2 seconds. It's a child who can't, sit in front of an iPad without throwing it. If it's a child, who has these unique circumstances where you already know, and they already know, there's no way they can access a virtual education, you certainly need to say that and say, we already know that this is not even going to work. I've been working with my child for a week. I can't get him to do blank. And now you're asking me to sit down and do matching and sorting and reading and writing. That's just not going to happen. Will it change the outcome? Probably not. Again, those are children who likely get one-to-one services during the regular school year. And I just don't think that that's feasible right now in light of the health warnings and suggestions, and may ultimately become mandates, and is in certain jurisdictions like San Francisco, where they are shuttered and where it's a closed down city, or supposed to be a closed down city. So again, I think you say what needs to be said, and you recognize that they're going to only be able to do certain things. And we have to try to make the best of this difficult situation while it's going on. If it is an equitable situation, you certainly should be asking for modified curriculum, differentiated curriculum, things of that nature. We're going to talk about how to make that happen now, where how parents can do that.
Right.
But if it's the question of the needs of one versus the needs of a whole, we as a society already have to recognize the needs of the whole are more important right now than the needs of the one, because the needs of the one simply are not something that we can be thinking of in a world where if you walk out of your door, you could end up killing somebody. So
Right.
anyway.
Well, and Laura had a question about evaluations that might have started but weren't completed. And now, exactly, she's asking, we cannot complete them, even though virtual school is in place. Is the only remedy compensatory services?
Again, ask your school district. I'm sure that's going to be, issue number one when you're having IEP meetings, that they're not going to be in compliance. There actually was some OSEP guidance on this during Hurricane Sandy. And the statute itself provides for some flexibility. It has words like it's 60 days, except that can be extended with agreement of the school and the parents. That suggests it's not a a mandatory cutoff, and they used the word flexibility, and that I think in Hurricane Sandy, the governor had issued an executive order extending IDEA guidelines because school could not be in session. So I don't currently know of any executive order yet that extends guidelines. I assume there will be. I know that Governor Newsom, for example, has issued an order waiving state testing. So the SBAC testing and the various testing that students have to do. I think that was also done in Arizona as well. There are state tests that happen in April. The testing window opens in March. And there's just no way that that's going to get done with schools being out currently and at least till the end of the month and maybe longer. So ultimately, of course, if you're being evaluated, you're likely being evaluated for eligibility or for services, and those services will be delayed. And, when the evaluation is ultimately done, if it proves up that services are needed, you should ask for compensatory services to put you in the same condition that you would have been in had the evaluation been done more timely. Will you get it? Don't know. I suspect every district will make its own determination because in essence, you're asking for services to replace services that no one got, because no one got services during this period of time. So why should you get makeup services for that period of time? Compensatory services are designed to put a student in the same position they would have been in. And if your evaluation was done, you still wouldn't get services now because no one's getting services. Once school resumes, related services will need to be provided, and they'll have to figure out ways to provide those. I already know that they're talking about telespeech. There are already school districts that use telespeech where there's a shortage of speech therapists. And I assume that we'll see physical therapy and occupational therapy and VT and vision therapy and so forth as well. Some of those are more amenable to teleservices than others. Telephysical therapy, I'm not sure that physical therapists really want moms and dads to be manipulating ankles and whatever, but hey, I don't know, maybe they will. But so again, what I am telling parents that I work with is this is not the time to be greedy. And I'm a parent too, I get it. But equitability means everybody has to suffer right now. And, my daughter for many days wondered whether she would get paid. She's an hourly long-term substitute who's in a classroom to the end of the school year. And yet she's required to answer all these teachers' questions.
Okay.
And the parapros and the bus drivers and all of those people who are hourly workers, the restaurant workers, everybody else, it's a hard time for everybody right now. And so, yeah, it's very hard for you too. And we're going to talk about how maybe we can try to make it less hard. But trying to suggest that, I have federal rights and therefore you need to take care of me. I just don't think that's going to sell in Hoboken and San Diego or anywhere else in a international crisis that's impacting the health and welfare of millions of people. So,
Oh, exactly. Why don't we'll skip ahead because I want to make sure we have time to talk about some things that parents could actually do. So here was one of our questions is, what is a parent to do who is now homeschooling and maybe for some time?
And this is the question I'm getting from everyone, and I think it's the question we need to be focusing on. And number one thing that you should be doing is keeping in touch with your classroom teacher. Even if school is closed, even if it's spring break, they might not be answering. I know some schools are currently on spring break, and our schools, my daughter's school goes on spring break in the next 2 weeks. But the reason I say contact them is they're posting things. They're using Google Classroom. They're using their websites. They're posting things for students to do. Much of this is called optional. But whether it's optional or not, it's things that you can do. And I know that some of the things they're trying to do is to keep the connections between the students. If you haven't seen a Flipgrid, I was like major impressed at what a Flipgrid is. And my daughter posted a question on Flipgrid and did it by video. So all the kids could see her
Oh,
face and could hear her voice, and asked the kids to post 3 things that they're doing at home. And they all stood in front of their computers, and they turned their microphones on. They all know how to do it. This is the technological world, or maybe they're having parents who are helping, and they videotape responses. And then the other kids could click on response and reply to it. I like that you were reading this book, or I like your animal and your ukulele. And it was fabulous. And I saw from a friend of mine at home, they connected to 3 children by either Google Hangouts or Zoom or something. And they had 3 students from the same class who were chatting with each other, and they were all so excited to be able to do it. So check in with your teacher, ask if they're posting any work, ask what guidance they're given. You may get an answer we don't know yet, or we're looking into it, or so forth. But nevertheless, keep in touch, and don't be asking questions that are naggy questions. I mean, how am I going to get my kid registered for high school? How the horrible parade. They're going to tell you. Your kids who are 8th graders, they're going to tell you. Everyone's in the same position, and right now, focus on today and what we can do today. Number 2, and this is, I think, the most important advice for everyone, and I'm not the only one giving it. Make a schedule. We are having to now account for 24 hours of the day, and the kids are sleeping maybe 8. So that means that we have a lot of time to account for. And what I'm suggesting to parents is to try to keep a schedule that resembles a school day. So sleeping until 10 in the morning, I don't think that that's a good idea. I think you should get them up. I think that maybe this is a time they can learn how to set their own alarm, and let's start teaching some independent skills. I've seen some really creatively colorful schedules that are color coded. I posted one on my Facebook page, Amy Langerman Special Ed, that came from study.com. And it can be posted on your refrigerator that the kids can be looking at if they don't know how to tell time. That you'll need to get some help. But in that schedule, block out sections of time. And block out sections of time that replicate things in the school day. There needs to be a reading time. There needs to be a math time. There needs to be a PE time, and the PE time could be as minimal as, your Fitbit goes off every 45 minutes. We're going to do a 2-minute Go Noodle, and your kids all know what Go Noodle is. And if you go to gonoodle.com, it'll have 60-second things you can stand and dance to. I've posted a 15-minute low impact routine. There's a 15-minute yoga routine I saw. Take your dog on a walk, do jumping jacks, whatever, but put some fitness in, because we're not getting out like we usually do. And that's because they've asked us not to. They have not said that we can't go outside. They've not said you can't take a walk. They've made suggestions about 6 feet from somebody who's not living in your home and things of that nature. But put those things in, and then figure out what you can do during what I'll call the academic times. The 30 or 40 minutes that you're going to do for reading or ELA, English Language Arts, the 30 or 40 minutes you're going to do for math, the 30 or 40 minutes that you're going to do for science and social studies. And I want to talk about that because everybody's posting all these free things, and my goodness, there's all sorts of free things. And do be aware when you sign up for them, how long they're free, and are they going to start charging you? And make sure you put in a note to cancel something if it's no longer free, and to make sure that you don't extend yourself beyond what you can. But for reading, there are 2 or 3 different things you can think about. If your child is a reader, it is a time that they can work independently, and that this would be something where you could maybe have some time for yourself. You have to think about yourself to be able to answer your emails if you're working from home. And I posted on my website 2 links to EPIC, EPIC exclamation point, and News ELA, NEWS ELA. And both of those I like because they are searchable. So you can search for things that your children like, and you can search for articles on subjects of interest to them. And all of them then can be narrowed once you search to reduce the readability level based on your child's lexile or grade level. If you don't know your child's lexile, write to your teacher and ask. But EPIC, you can search for books that are audio books so that your child can listen. You can search by lexile level. You can find books of interest about subjects. I posted something on coronavirus that was done by Austin and Lily. That is an organization in Arizona that adapts resources for children with intellectual disabilities. It is a fabulous little reader that has a lot of pictures and easy language. And it's the first thing that you should be doing with your kids, is to let them understand why we're at home, and how to wash their hands, and how it spreads by touch. So that one, if they're afraid, we can help allay their fears. 2, that we can teach them the health things that we need them to teach. But reading, if they are readers, some of that can be done independently at things of interest to them. And maybe your teacher will be posting some ELA articles for News ELA or other things of interest there. You don't have to feel like I need to read, Scarlet Letter because my child's in 9th grade, or The Crucible, or Catch 22, whatever it is. You know what? Those standards are kind of going to fall by the wayside for a while. And I think reading is reading, and we want our kids to be reading as much as they can. Books on tape are fabulous. I posted resources where you can get audiobooks, and listening to a story with your children is a wonderful opportunity to have some family time, regardless. If your kids have not read the Harry Potter series and they are age suitable for that, it is the best narrator in the history of the world. Now is a good time to do that. But, let them read. Find other ELA activities they can do. I know I've posted vocabulary, which is rap vocabulary. Who would have thought? And let them in their readings find vocabulary words, look up pictures, whatever. This is the time for writing. My goodness. It doesn't have to be an essay about coronavirus or an essay about whatever. But teach them how to write an email. They can write an email to their teacher. They can write an email to their friends. They can connect by text and learn how to text. They can journal. They can write a story. They can animate a story. They can illustrate a story. They can go to Google Images and get pictures to do a story. Be creative. This is an opportunity to be creative. For science and social studies, the virtual world is your oyster. My goodness gracious. If you're interested in the pyramids, now you could take a virtual tour. The Cleveland Zoo, they're having their penguins show you around. There is something for everyone that's happening. If your child is a theater geek, as I was growing up, watch a Broadway show. They're free on YouTube right now, and find something of interest to your kids. That would be fun. Post them singing a song and send it to your relatives, particularly your relatives who are older, who are feeling isolated, who may be afraid. And boy, do they need your kids now. And they need them more than once a day. And these are, great opportunities to connect. I'm sure right here, somebody, Krista Burla. Hi, Krista, my friend in Arizona, my realtor in Arizona, who got me a good home for my son. Find a nursing home and connect with them, the Veterans Administration Hospital, people who are in the hospital, who your child can read them a poem sing them a song, whatever it might be. Those are all great ideas. Math is a scary thing for many parents. I tapped out at math with my kids before the Common Core, thank goodness. The Common Core is a scary item because it's no longer enough to add 2 plus 2 and make it be 4. You have to show 3 different ways to make 2 plus 2 equal 4. And I'm going to tell every parent out there, you don't need to do that while you're homeschooling your children. Math is a good thing. And yes, they should do math. And again, if your child is able to access the internet independently, Prodigy is a game that kids adore.
Right.
IXL Math, you can find your child's level, and it's by literally hunt and pack. I know they're doing fractions. You can look up in online, put in your state. If you're Arizona State 3rd grade math standards, you'll see what the 3rd graders are doing. You then go to the 3rd grade IXL math standards and you look at them and say, okay, this is too hard for my child, but they're doing fractions. So I'm going to then go to the 2nd grade math standards or the 1st grade math standards for the same standard, and it's all numbered. So if 3rd grade fractions is 3.1, you can go to 2.1 or go to 1.1, and it's very user friendly, and it's currently free right now. And I know there's a number of different things for math, but if they just did a few of those activities for 20 or 30 minutes, I think that'd be great. Consider if you have a mom or dad friend in the same class, connecting with them and letting your kids go on FaceTime or Google Hangouts or any of these activities and doing flashcards together. I'm going to hold up a flashcard here for Billy, and he's going to give me the answer, and then Billy's going to hold up flashcards for me. And they can play games together too, like Heads Up, Ellen DeGeneres' game. I'm going to hold it up. Maybe, I don't know if that works online. Maybe I'll be able to see the answer myself. I don't know, but there has to be a way that these games can be played.
And I think, that's the thing. And I'm putting together a list of like non-electronic, non-tech ideas, because there are some families in rural areas that don't have access because internet isn't, a really stable thing there. So I'm putting together some ideas. And one of the things that I saw the other day that I want to try with my grandkids that I'm homeschooling is math card games. I mean, there are so many neat math card games out there.
Right. I saw some online today too.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you could go onto some online place and order a deck of cards if you don't have any currently in your house. But, I think that's the thing, is there are a lot of activities. So to people that are watching our live show or watching the replay, let us know, like, what's going to be most helpful to you. I mean, we are trying to brainstorm. We're posting things. Amy's Facebook page. I want to let people know your Facebook page here, Amy.
Right, and this is also an opportunity to ask your school's teacher, your child's teacher, for what they're recommending for things that are non-tech or whatever. But 2 things I want to say: one about tech and kids working together, and one without tech. If you're in an environment where tech just isn't available, that's, there's nothing that can be done about it. The schools will have to come up with options. I know they're having bus drivers deliver packets. That's one of the things that I've read is going to happen. And they're going to have bus drivers deliver lunch for certain people as well. But if you are in a place where internet is available, but it's economically not in your budget, you need to ask your school to provide that. And I know my middle son is essential right now. He works at Arizona State University in the tech department, and they have purchased and deployed, I think, 2,000 laptops last week for kids who don't have them, or for professors who need them, so that the virtual experience of college can continue. If you do not have a laptop at home for your child, or do not have a device, do not have internet, one, the school can and should be able to provide you a device. And 2, I know that many internet companies are providing free internet, at least for the interim. And again, be careful what you sign up for. But for a month or 2, whatever your needs are, to be able to try to get that, just make sure that they know you can't afford it thereafter. Those options are available. And for the parents who are of the belief, no screens, no screens, no screens, never a screen in my house, I'm going to tell you, get over it right now. Your kid needs a screen. It may be the only way to access a teacher.
Right.
But the other thing about tech is if you have it, and if you have a cell phone and your child, we don't let our child use our cell phone or whatever, and the device is used only for academics or so forth. There are a number of activities and games that are interactive. Yes, World of Warcraft is one of those games that you don't want your child to be on, but that's how the millennials are connecting right now. They're talking to each other on a gaming app. Well, there are gaming apps that are a little more academic, like Words with Friends, Hangman. Okay, it's not really academic, but you have to try to spell a word and you're trying to guess letters, and they're including their listening and speaking skills, which we don't think about so much anymore because kids don't talk to each other. I mean, my adult children don't talk to anybody. They text and they, on their apps, and they IM, and it's ridiculous. They don't even use real words.
Right.
But these are opportunities to explore some of those things. And so don't, as much as tech may be an evil thing at times, or we're only going to allow them to earn it and so forth, I think we need to get over that. Perhaps you can look at non-academic things, like where you just need a break, and so they're going to watch a video. You're going to need a break, moms and dads. There's no doubt about it. You're going to need a break. So there's going to need to be some of that time, and so forth. But also try to think about the more creative things. I posted one today that I just fell in love with. They had all the boxes that were coming from Amazon, and they cut them all, and they made a geodesic
Oh, I
dome
saw that. I love it.
and I
Yes.
was like, oh my gosh, my kids loved playing in an appliance box. It was the greatest toy in the world. So, use those things. If you live in a climate that has a pool, consider this. Can you build a raft out of cardboard, and can you get across it in a raft? That was an engineering feat that they required in engineering class for my son in 9th grade. And the teams built rafts out of cardboard boxes, and one of the kids had to actually make it across the pool. So, I mean, try to get creative.
Right.
Think about these things that are more fun, that can inspire, particularly if you have more kids at home than one. Bigger kids can help with littler kids. But from a mom and dad standpoint, you have both work and you have home things that you have to take care of. This is a time to think about encouraging the learning of independent skills and home contribution skills. I know culturally I represent a number of parents who believe that children shouldn't do any of these things. The mom is the one who does it all. And you know what? This is the time for kids to learn how to fold a shirt. It's the time for kids to learn how to cook. It's the time for kids to set their alarms. It's the time for kids to be team members. We're all having to pitch in. Wiping down doorknobs. If you're not wiping down your doorknobs and your screens and your whatever every day, kids can help with that. And I think that these are all things that can help kids be active participants and enable parents to have a little bit of time for themselves as well,
Well, the other thing
and so forth.
I know I was talking to a mom, and she was talking about, which I think is just fabulous, the things that she is learning about her son now, that she's actually sitting down and doing some of these, suggested activities. And she is noticing, we've been working on this IEP goal for a long time, and I haven't seen improvement, but guess what? I did it this way, and now he's writing a complete
Right.
sentence.
And
or
data,
whatever.
data. It's one more thing that parents don't need right now, but I'll tell you something. iPads and telephones today have videos, and a picture speaks a million words. I'll tell you something. If you're able to access your child in a way that nobody's ever been able to access, I do this all the time. I do this all the time. I did an observation of a new student that I was working with in December. I went in for 30 minutes, and 23 of those minutes she sat, the entire 30, she was totally not engaged. This teacher was trying her best in a group setting and to be engaging and entertaining. And with this little girl, I'm having none of it. And not only am I not going to be engaged, I'm going to instead pick at my skin, pick at my hair, pick at my face, and do all sorts of other horrible things. And I'm watching and I'm like horrified. And I wondered whether if we could get her actively engaged, would the behavior stop? And so I immediately went to my computer and I sent home the mom what I thought would be 30 minutes of work at her level. And I said, you have a behavior therapist who's coming this afternoon. See if she'll do this videotape, and let's just, be one-to-one engaged. We got her engaged, 30 minutes of video. It's like, oh my goodness gracious. I sent it to the entire team and I said, okay, the antidote, the cure to this problem is active engagement. And no offense, she's not being actively engaged. So I would like to consider a change of placement. It's like, okay. And, but whatever it is. And so if you're working on IEP goals, and that would be a fine thing to do. Not that you have to, but IEP goals that I write, for example, are when given a picture, we'll write a single sentence. There's plenty of opportunities when teaching a child today a word or a concept. Let's look up a picture, write a sentence, or I'm going to write a sentence about what I did today, or I'm going to write a sentence. I'm going to take a picture of Mary here and cooking cookies, and I'm going to then write a sentence about it. And it's complying with the IEP goal. If you're going to do that, by all means, keep track of every piece of paper your child does, put a date on it, put the amount of time on it. I'm not thinking anybody's getting paid for this time ever. And I'm not thinking that's the reason to do this. I'm thinking the reason is if you are able to access your child in a way that hasn't been accessed before, and you're able to make progress in a way that hasn't been made before, you want to document it, you want to videotape it, you want to show them how. Because it isn't that they're not good, and it isn't that they're not competent, but nobody knows your child better than you do.
Right.
And your child may be able to work with you better than they. The opposite may also be true. Your child may want to have absolutely nothing to do with you, whereas they do much better with a stranger or, your mom. You're not teacher. Wait a minute. I'm not doing school with you. No way. Particularly a child with an intellectual disability who may not understand what's going on, or a child with very significant behavior, and so forth. And if you have that child, the child with incredibly significant behavior, potentially even dangerous behavior, the first thing I would do is, again, ask your school for help. I would ask your local regional center authority, whatever your state authority is that provides for services. They are usually called payers of last resort. Are they providing interim services? Is your home behavior agency, if you have that through your insurance, are they providing support? And some of them are, and some of them are not. And if you think about it, if they don't want to be near you because of distancing issues, they may be immunosuppressed, they may be living with someone who's immunosuppressed, and they don't want to do this right now, you need to respect that. Or if you don't want them in your house because of somebody in your house who's immunocompromised, and you may lose services because of that, because they need to the people who want to work, who are willing to work, can't come in your house, they're going to assign them someplace else. So you need to accept that sometimes that's going to happen here. But I would try to reach out to all of these places and see if there are any services available. And ultimately, one-to-one, hand-over-hand services may be very hard to come by, because of the rules about social distancing that we as a society need to respect, to put the interest of the whole over the interest of the one. I'm not saying it's a good result. I'm not saying it's an answer to a question of a parent who may not be safe. But it is the best that we can do right now.
Well, and we're at the top of the hour, so I want to thank everyone who's been with us live, and also our replay viewers. And it would just be nice feedback for us to know what was one or more than one important point that you learned today during the show that you would like to remember. because we want to make sure that we're focused on what's going to be helpful for you as a parent. And as we said at the beginning of the show, there are things happening, right? Almost every hour. We don't have any kind of legal answers right now that are firm because of the changes that are happening. But as parents, we do have control over what we can do with our kids in our home. And one of the things that I think is really important is to have those conversations with our kids, to be able to spend more time with them. And it doesn't have to be a worksheet. It doesn't have to be, a traditional activity that would be considered academic, but just that time to be with our kids, to learn more about them, to watch and cheer them on as they are doing new things. And through Facebook, we can always be supporting each other. I am thrilled, Amy, that you carved out time for us today, and you just explode with ideas. And it's so fun because you can just see all these things bubbling in your head.
And that's what I've been doing. And I'd like to end by saying some of this. Parents have been emailing me, what should I get? What kind of, I'm taking my one tour to the store. What should I get?
Right.
And I tell them that you don't need to buy anything special for this. You need a thermometer, you need acetaminophen, you need 2 weeks of food. Those are things you need right now.
Right.
But the most important thing that you need, your critical supplies, are a positive attitude, compassion,
Yes.
and hope. I mean, this sucks for everybody. And who would have ever thought that this could ever happen?
Right.
And what we need to do is be positive role models for our kids under these most trying of times, because they're going to remember this, and this could be a really frightening proposition for our children, and one that results in devastating regression. Or it could be an opportunity that most parents will never get in their life,
Right.
because work, to spend time that maybe will be compensated through government bailouts, maybe will compensated through furlough, unemployment compensation if we are required to stay home because the government's requested this of us, or family paid medical leave, whatever it is, because we have no choice. So now we're home, and now get an opportunity that you may never get, to see what your teacher sees, to really be grateful for your teacher who makes very little money. And you're going to now learn what it is that they're telling you at those parent-teacher conferences, but to also be a real contributor and a meaningful participant when you can now say, I've actually taught my child, and let me tell you what I did and how I did it. And even if it's just reading them a story or listening while Betty White reads Harry the Dirty Dog on Story Online, my favorite website of all time, that's an opportunity. It's like that MasterCard commercial, it's priceless. It will never be able to be replaced. And so try to be optimistic, try to make the best of it. Tour the Cleveland Zoo, cook something special. Look up a recipe, learn how to make something, order a ukulele from Amazon and learn an instrument. I mean, it's an opportunity that you'll never have again, and let's at least make the best of it.
Oh, exactly. And I know people just appreciate
Wash your hands.
Yes, wash your hands. And I wanted to let people know that next Thursday, because I host this as a weekly show, next Thursday, we have a guest, Brenda Jones, a friend of mine from California, who used to be a special ed teacher, started homeschooling her kids years ago. So she's going to have a lot of in the moment ideas of what we can do now that we're officially homeschooling parents, right? And then the other part that Brenda does so well is talks about the whole mindset and that positive attitude, that looking at this as an opportunity. And so that we can model as parents, and we can also help our kids develop those mindsets. So next week, I hope you tune in. We'll have more homeschooling ideas, and we'll also talk about that positive mindset. So for all of us, we are so grateful that you are here. We wish you well. We are here to support you. Let us know what we can do for you. And until next Thursday, I am Charmaine Tanner, and we shall see you then, and have a fabulous week with your kiddos. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome. See you soon.
All righty. Bye-bye.